episode of One-on-One Sports The Tape Deck. I'm your host, Matt Dowdle, and we are here to take a look forward and a look back at the things that have happened in the world of sports. So let's start with yesterday, college basketball. Let's take a look at some highlights. Number 11, Louisville versus number 7, Cincinnati. Let's just say this one came down to the wire. We're already late in the second half. Montrezl Harrell gets the ball, works his way through a double team, and puts it up for the lane. Tough basket, giving Louisville a little bit further of a lead. Now Cincinnati trying to come back, and when you're making jumpers like this, Kilpatrick makes it. That's going to help your team out. Now, $1:20 left. Cincinnati up by 3. Louisville trying to get on the board. Russ Smith feeds Harrell, who puts it in for the dunk. Down by 1. Just over a minute left. Now, a couple seconds. Rozier gives the ball back to Smith. Hits the 18-footer. Yes, he does. 2.2 seconds left. Louisville has the lead. Cincinnati wants one more shot. They're not going to get it. The deflection gives the ball to Louisville, who go on to win the game. The American Athletic Conference is looking a little bit more interesting now. Kentucky versus LSU. LSU trying to get another win against Kentucky. Kentucky trying to redeem themselves against those Tigers who put them away earlier in the season. Fast forward to under 2 minutes remaining. Well, Hickey hits a three-pointer and gives LSU the lead. 1 point over Kentucky. Fast forward, seconds left. Hickey's got the ball again. Can he get the win for LSU? No, he cannot. We're going to overtime, 65-65. Close game. Kentucky down by 2. Culminates in. James Young drives, floats the ball in the basket, ties it up. And now we're at the end of overtime. Couple seconds left. Julius Randle gets the rebound, puts it in. Just under 4 seconds, Kentucky gets the lead. And can we see LSU come back? Nope, loses the ball. Kentucky gets the W. We will not have a repeat of the loss. Kentucky's pleased to win on their home court. They got Temple coming up next. San Diego State versus New Mexico. Coach Fisher looking a little upset. We're down by 7 early, but we'll see what we can do. Cameron Burstow, though, is on the other hand. He's saying, nope, this game's going to stay in our hands for New Mexico. He gets the jumper, and then later on in the second half, gets the ball a little bit closer to the paint, little jump fadeaway, and he nails it. New Mexico up by 9. Further in the second half, Cole Mitz. Kendall Williams launches the 3 and nails it. New Mexico goes up by 15. Coach Fisher a little surprised by that, and New Mexico is stoked. Later on, William Barstow gets the dunk from Kendall Williams. The two are working together to pretty much ensure New Mexico the victory, up by 21. And we all can pretty much know what's going to happen here. They're going to get the W. Coach Fisher not pleased. Great game for New Mexico. Duke versus Syracuse, arguably the favorite game of the year. Syracuse trying to come back out of the first loss. Hood puts up the 3. But Parker slams it home, making it harder for them, cushioning the lead with under 5 minutes remaining. The Duke fans are happy, but Tyler Ennis is trying to make plays. Under a minute left, feeds Mr. Christmas, gets a dunk, closes the gap to 1 point. We're down to the final possession. Ennis feeds fair, drives the lane, and is called for the offensive foul. The fans love it. Duke loves it. But Coach Boeheim, well, he is less than pleased. You can see that he is yelling at the refs, charges the court, and he is not happy. He gets a technical, and then a double technical. He felt that this was a blocking foul. The refs said otherwise. Coach was ejected, kicked out of the game, and in the end, Duke gets the victory, 66-60 over Syracuse, and hands Cuse their second consecutive loss on the season. All right, well, now that we've looked at the highlights, let's talk about that last game, Duke versus Syracuse. I think the biggest storyline that we can take away from it is Jim Boeheim kind of exploding on the court and running out there, yelling at the officials, and clearly throwing out some language that if you can read any lips just a little bit, you know exactly what he was saying. Moral of the story, he wasn't pleased with what was going on. He was not pleased with the questionable blocking versus charge call. And ultimately, his double technical, my personal opinion, pretty much threw the game away from for Syracuse. Don't think they were going to win regardless, but when you give a team a free 3 out of 4 free throws, that's not so good. But on the positive side, if there's anything I'm going to take away from this, it is nice to know that Jim Boeheim, who has almost coached his team to 1,000 wins, is still this fired up about the game of basketball. The fact that a questionable call late in a game can make him get that emotional, want to charge the court and stick up for his team, that's awesome to see. Coach Boeheim is a class act. This was not his brightest moment, and it did not represent the university well, but he has done more than enough to prove that he is a great college coach and a great person to begin with, and to me, this only establishes how much he loves and has passion for the game. Now, moving from the NCAA to the NBA, Jason Collins, as we know, last year came out and said that he was an openly gay athlete, but at the time he did that, he was not on an NBA roster until today. He is going to sign a 10-day contract with the Brooklyn Nets, which would make him the first openly gay athlete in any of the 4 major sports in the United States. That's a pretty big deal, especially with the NFL draft coming up and Michael Sam having just come out. This is a big deal. It maybe sets a little bit of a precedence that, hey, a gay athlete can survive in the league, as Jason Collins has done, but also can do it in a situation where everyone else around them knows of their sexual orientation. I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'm excited about the idea that professional sports, and particularly sports that have been generally known as being manly and testosterone-y, like basketball and like football, are becoming more accepting and open to every single person to join their respective leagues. All right, now that we've taken a look at the NBA, let's go over to the NFL. Combine's going on right now. The draft is coming up next April. Every team is doing their research, trying to see which guy they want to pick, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do my top 5. At number 5, you got the Oakland Raiders. They have a tendency to like to pick fast guys, fast wide receivers. And I think this trend is going to continue when they take Sammy Watkins this year. Sammy Watkins is fast, and then he has top-end speed, a second gear that he can kick it into to beat the defense and get over the top. He also is a pretty good route runner, has great hands, and is aggressive when it comes to getting the ball. He's got good size. He can get off the field and get off blocks. Overall, best receiver on the board for me, and I think Oakland's going to go ahead and take him. Hopefully, he can do better than previous receivers. Yes, Darius Hayward-Bay, I'm looking at you. At number 4, you have the Cleveland Browns. If anything, they need quarterback help, and that's why I think they're going to take Teddy Bridgewater, the most pro-ready quarterback, in my opinion, of all the quarterbacks in the draft. I don't think any of these quarterbacks stand out as much in the past as maybe the Andrew Luck or the Robert Griffin did a couple years ago, but there's anyone who can have pretty immediate impact and consistently be able to play well, or at least have that sort of expectation, it will be Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not expecting a lot out of him. Cleveland's offense does not have too much to offer, but he hopefully will make a strong person at the helm of the offense, and eventually over the next couple of years could lead them to a couple more victories. At number 3 are the Jaguars. They need help everywhere. Frankly, if this entire draft could go strictly to them, that is maybe the one sole reason they could be successful. However, we'll give them the best piece of raw talent that we have, and that's Jadeveon Clowney. As much as I wanted in the game of a quarterback, Clowney is a freak of nature, a freak athlete, 6'5", 45-ish pounds, and he's looking to run a 4.4 40. He gets off blocks, he hits hard, and he is just so impactful in a game. And Jacksonville needs that, something to liven up their team, something to liven up their coaching staff, and something to liven up their fans. And Clowney will bring that. At number 2, we got Greg Robinson, the tackle out of Auburn. And you know what? Probably the best tackle in the draft. The man has great feet, great hands, great blocking ability. The only thing I want to see him work on, frankly, is just staying aggressive and consistent through his blocks and through his effort during the entire course of a game. And therefore, he's going to go to St. Louis and hopefully shore up that offensive line and give Sam Bradford an opportunity to not get injured and to use the weapons that he has around him. And finally, number 1, the Houston Texans. It's got to be Johnny Manziel. I'm not saying I love the pick. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the world. However, he is a game changer, and this team actually has a lot of talent. Whatever happened last year, we don't want to look back on it. It was a blow-up of a season, but they do have more talent than most of the teams in these top 10, top 15 picks, and they're fortunate to have the number 1 pick. I think Manziel comes in. He's exciting. He's exciting to watch. He's electric, and the team is looking for someone to immediately bring them up, and Johnny has a chance to do that, especially if a lot of defenses don't exactly know how to game plan for him just yet. So, like I said, Johnny, number 1, we'll see if it happens. And now stepping away from the NFL draft, we're going to go ahead and go to the NFL officiating. People are discussing the idea of making the N-word a penalty in game situations. If you were to say it, player, coach, whatever it may be, the idea is that you're going to be penalized 15 yards as if it's a personal foul. Looks like this may pass. Personal thoughts? I think the rule is pretty silly. I'm going to be brutally honest. As much as I don't like that people use that word, if it's in when it's in any connotation, I don't think that's going to be a fair way to judge a game. No offense, but when you're speaking, when you're talking just to yourself or to other players, smack talking, that's a part of the game. And I'm not saying, again, that I condone using this foul language. However, I would hate to see my favorite team be penalized 15 yards and ultimately lose a game or have the game majorly affected because they were speaking trash talking and really had no football-related penalty. All of a sudden, we lost the game. I like the idea that we're trying to clean up the field. I like the idea that we're trying to clean up the athletes who may be using this foul language. However, if this ends up costing one of my teams a victory next year because we got a 15-yard penalty and therefore couldn't kick a game-winning field goal, I'm going to be a little irritated. But that is all the time that we have on this episode of the Tape Deck. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next week.